It's mid-morning on a Saturday, and I'm heading to the north end of the CFRC sub. Looking at the sky, it's not looking too inviting today. Upon arriving at the Barry, it starts raining a little bit. There's an approach signal on track 2 at the station, but this isn't for a train. This track ends, and this is an automatic absolute signal. It's not dispatcher controlled, so you can't pass it if it's red like an intermediate. I look into the siding to see 3 SunRail locomotives coupled to a rail train. A few nights before, CSX B525 ran the Sanford sub down with a rail train, which was presumed for Brightline. Those usually run the Wildwood sub that comes to Orlando from the south. Turns out they left it in the siding at Benson Junction. SunRail must be running a rail train, so that's what the focus of my day is going to be. While standing, I hear Amtrak 53, the southbound auto train, calling signals to my north.
The second train coming. Obey all warning signals at pedestrian crossings and cross only at designated areas. Siempre tenga cuidado con un segundo tren que viene. Obedezcan todas las señales de advertencia localizado en los pasos de peatones y crucen solamente en las áreas designadas. Always beware of a second train coming. Obey all warning signals at pedestrian crossings and cross only at designated areas.
Coming into its last 4 miles of its trip, Auto Train has to cross the Lake Monroe drawbridge, which there's been a speed restriction on for years now. Auto Train crosses the St. Johns River a couple times on the Sanford sub, Jacksonville, Buffalo Bluff, and here. It's not the most picturesque day to get off in Florida, but I'm sure these passengers are well excited to get on with their vacations. I used to actually work loading and unloading these cars on the Auto Train. That was a pretty cool job if you like cars. As Auto Train disappears into the distance, I get word of an M455 running north to Sanford. So I decide to leave this train for a bit since they're waiting on a late 91 and head to Lake Mary. Once I get to Lake Mary, I see the signals nicknamed Pedigo showing a clear on track number 1. These signals default to approach limited like you see on track 2, so that confirms to me that I have a northbound. Southbound, you'll see the track 2 signal shows a clear, yet the northbound for that track shows approach limited. Why? Are 2 trains lined against each other? No. These signals are set in a series of automatics between Sanford and Longwood. Depending on where it's at, its default will be somewhere in the speed signal cycle. North, these show approach limited as default. The next signals will show advance approach to an approach at the distance signal to Sanford and an eventual stop signal at the Sanford control point. While I sit in the rain, I eventually hear a distant horn and up comes Z455, M455's CFRC name. After 4:55 passes, I make my way back to the DeBerry station just in time for Amtrak 91. The dispatcher told the rail train P399 that they'll get a signal to shove north after 91 clears.
P399, wherever y'all take it, we're ready to shove north out of Benson Siding. We're going to shove all the way up to New York Avenue, and then we'll get tracking time and start dropping rails down. Alright, going to shove all the way up there and then get the tracking time and head south. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay, alright. Let anyone get by and give us a holler.
Once they start shoving north, I wanted a shot of them in Orange City under the French Avenue overpass as they went toward Deland, so that's where I went. Once they get to Deland, they start laying rail between the station and the 751 milepost. It's only a mile area, but it's an inaccessible part. This part of the A line becomes very wooded until Jacksonville, and just north of Deland is the Deland siding and the beginning of the CSX Sanford sub. While they do this, it's just a matter of playing the waiting game. Finally, they get into shooting range, and we watch the process of them beginning to lay rail.
You gotta cut that crossing, John. Copy that. John, you gotta cut the crossing on this side. Okay. Just south of the crossing. I got it. North. You gotta cut the north side and hook up the south side. Copy.
The train slowly rolls forward while the rail is being dragged off, as you can see here rolling off the top of the cars. They're rolling just the right amount off to make it to the crossing where they can cut the rail so it doesn't stretch across an active road or they have to cut through the concrete. Unlike CSX, CFRC uses crossing panels so they can cut the crossing to attach the rails on either side of the crossing panel. For the next couple minutes, we'll watch the process of cutting the rail, pulling across, re-anchoring the new rail to be laid, and the laying process. After the cut's been made, a hole is cut into the next piece of rail so that a hook and chain can be laced through to anchor the rail down to be pulled off the train.
I'll follow you. Over here, John.
Keep them coming, at least 6 more.
All right, 6 more.
We're going to set off.
As the rail train continues to lay rail, the dispatcher notifies them that it's time to wrap it up and head to the siding at Benson Junction to let Amtrak 52, the northbound auto train, go by. Then they can proceed back to work. So we head to Orange City and the Blue Springs pedestrian overpass to watch them.
ERC, Equipment Defect Detector. Milepost 755.4. No defects. No defects. Total axle 124. End of transmission.
Alright, no defects, well, at least by the defect detector, and 124 axles there, John. I don't know if we
Alright, no legal defects, 8339 southbound.
And not more than a few minutes after the rail train goes by, here comes Amtrak 52, the northbound auto train, making its way past the Orange City defect detector on its way to Lorton, Virginia. Well, the following Saturday, I come across RJ Corman working on the Brightline project to Orlando International. I had plans to do in-depth coverage of the project, but I have nowhere near enough time to do the construction updates and all that jazz. Construction is slated to be complete by the end of this year, with test trains running by the beginning of next year. Brightline will eventually carry passengers at up to 125 miles per hour between Orlando and Cocoa, and 110 miles an hour from Cocoa to West Palm Beach. RJ Corman has the contract of building the track on the east-west line, and here at the Goldenrod Tunnel, we see them heading east after just dropping off ballast on the west main, which I hope here will be the south main because this track is on the south side now. Once Brightline service starts to Orlando, I'll definitely be shooting more, but until then, this was a nice catch. There's a lot of railroad construction happening in the state of Florida right now. It's exciting to see what the future holds. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to make the next one for you. Until then, thanks for watching.